Hello and welcome to Next Level Live. Thank you so much for tuning in. Each week we are bringing you live interviews with powerful leaders that will inspire you into reaching your next level in life. And this evening we have special guest powerhouse, Lynn Rose. I'm so excited to have you on the show. You're such a powerful woman. You are a highly sought after international business motivational keynote speaker, an MC and entertainer, an entrepreneur, high performance expert, just so many amazing things. I can't wait to dive into your story and to hear more about you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, Alexa, thank you. I'm so excited we're getting to connect in this way and share the conversation because, thank you for calling me a powerhouse. I feel you are a powerhouse. So this makes it really great that we just let's have a powerhouse conversation.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. So you're joining us from Los Angeles, yes?
Yes, one could call it like the pit of, Hades. It's so hot. Oh. I'm just kidding. I love it here, but it's really hot right now. But yes, from LA. Yeah.
Yeah, and you've been there for long term, yeah?
I moved down here right after high school. I did live in England and lived in Japan and toured around the world for a little while, but LA is my home.
Beautiful.
But LA is where my home base is. Yes.
Yes, you're an international woman of style. That's for sure. Should we show? I would love to show everybody just a quick clip of what you do, some of what you've been up to in the world, because you have just such an amazing repertoire here. So we're gonna show this real quick here. Let's see. I believe that we can see it. Can you see it on your side?
I can see it on my side. And just to give people context, just give me a little taste because there's a kind of secret story behind what we're about to show. So.
Okay, beautiful. All right. So and full disclosure, I haven't worked this in this way before. So here we go.
Don't really hear it, but that's okay.
You can't hear it?
Taste of the images. It's just music behind it. Yeah. Fun music.
Goodness gracious, that's a bummer that we can't hear it. I'm wondering
That's all right. You kind of said that part. Oops, it's frozen in my hand. Wait, now it's moving. There we go. There's a sea lion, by the way. That's the music right now. So we don't have to watch the whole thing unless you want to show live. There we go. I'm not hearing you for some reason. Uh-oh. It shows your mic is being muted. Did you mute your microphone? And maybe that's why we didn't hear the video.
Well, I had ear pods on, and I think that's actually why we didn't. So okay. Well, anyhow, you are somebody that I've been around for the last probably month and a half or so, and just everything that you've been reporting on that you're up to, and what I know about your background is just such an extraordinary life that you've been leading. And I'd love to know how you got started. Like, how did you break into the industry, and tell us about you?
Well, it all began when I was 3 years old. No, I'm just kidding. But I think what's important though is, and we'll kind of tell you some little bits and pieces, those watching who don't know, and you don't know some of this, right? Yeah. And what you saw, that little 30 seconds up front, with the big audiences and the singing around the world, and I'm hearing an echo, but we'll just hope everything's fine. Anyway, that was impossible, literally impossible at a certain time in my life. And, at least seemingly impossible. And so that's part of my commitment is I know no one's a hopeless case. No one is locked into whatever issues or challenges or ways you've been maybe even traumatized or ways you've been shut down, but that I have seen again and again in my own life and in others that I've either worked with or witnessed, that doesn't matter where you are, where you began, what has come up for you. There's so much more available to you than you even know. And it's really, if you are willing to show up, willing to do the work, willing to stand in the fire, willing to realize that's not your limitation or where you're locked into, where is it that you feel is inside that is so wanting to come out? Where is it that you so see and want your life, but maybe feels locked in, or where it feels impossible? But yet, if you keep showing up, if you keep believing in it, if you don't buy into the lies of the ego or shoulds or other people around you or the way things have been done before or any of that, it is so incredibly possible that you could go from someone who could barely ever speak, let's say, next thing you know, you're a rock star keynote speaker. I've worked with people who have become that. I've seen that, and time and time again, to where it could be that you were as shy as could be, and next thing you know, you're this very expressive person, or what it's even creating, let's say, wealth-wise. I mean, it's unlimited. So I bring all that up to listen from this place as I share my story. It's sharing from a place of what is possible, and about, maybe even like the journey of transformation. So I do have to share it in a kind of little fun way where it really began, that then is an interesting little metaphor for then later in life, okay? So when I was 2.5 years old, I hadn't said barely a word. And my mom was concerned, right? Me, who taught her. So,
that's hard to believe. Okay.
Yeah, right? So my mom, is concerned. I mean, she was a school teacher at the time, so she knew kids at different levels of learning or times they come out of there, whatever. But she'd gone to the doctor to get checked on my little 2.5-year-old self. And he said, sometimes kids are just watching and observing, and then it'll just come out. And she's like, okay. And I don't know if it was on the drive home from that doctor's office or at some point shortly after that, she's driving home. She swerves to miss a car, and she hears in the back seat my 2.5-year-old voice that said, "God damn it, sit on."
Wow. Okay.
I had to be careful about, the swearing thing. But you can fill in the blanks about what I really said as a 2.5-year-old. And from that point forward, I spoke in full sentences and you couldn't shut me up.
Wow.
So, and this is just tied into something that happened later in life, but it's just but interesting. Obviously, I was absorbing what I was seeing around me from my family, and influences will show up in mysterious ways. It's something for us to remember, not just in kids, actually, in life. But I came out of the womb just loving life, loving to sing and perform, and we know that certain things happen in life that either we interpret and we make them mean something, and either then it starts to either shut us down or hold us back, or we start creating these stories that then run our lives, that then impact our well-being, impact our joy, impact what's possible, right? Totally. So I say all that in that, a couple different things that maybe it's not taking the time to talk about here, unless you want to.
I'm happy to dive. I mean, we don't have an agenda. It's wisdom from Lynn Rose. So yeah.
Okay, all right. But I will just touch on it because I've done the work that is processed, right? But I loved my dad. He was a Marine jet fighter pilot. He was a brilliant man. He wrote articles for the newspapers about his time in Vietnam. He was writing a book. He would ski with Jean-Claude Keely. He was a musician. He was just so charismatic and charming and wonderful. And he was young, and he was challenged, and he was an alcoholic. And my mom and dad had split up against his will. And about the end of second grade year, right before I was about to go do my piano recital, right before my birthday, end of the second grade year, my dad came in and abducted my sister and I, and kind of drove from Baltimore to Michigan. And I know this is like, what? But, it's not like he tied us up and put us in the trunk. I mean, he just kind of took us and left a note saying, "Karen, I've taken the kids."
He took you away from your mother.
Yes. So I want to make that clear. But that term is child abduction,
Yes.
Yeah. And so but I loved my dad. He was an irresponsible parent. That was not a cool thing to do to the kids or my mom. But we were away from my mom for a year and a half. I saw her for briefly on a Christmas Eve that we had like a couple of hours exchange with her, and that's it. Wow. Until the court stepped in and we were finally returned to my mom. And then from there, finally my dad was starting to get his act together. He started, he was about getting ready he'd gotten married, actually remarried. And, we were starting to find our way and the visitation and, all of that. And I got to remember, I loved my dad. I looked up to my dad. Yes, he was irresponsible. And that's the thing too with people is we tend to want to be black and white on how we then label people, then cut them off.
Right. It's not like that. Life is not like that.
There's so many layers, and we're cutting ourselves off when we do that to other people. So, or what could be that relationship? Though we want to also be, real and clear with what's going on at the same time. But anyway, I say all that. So then, in 5th grade and 6th grade, I'm about to go. I went on vacation with my mom to Grand Canyon, and we're about to go visit my dad for 6 weeks. My mom has this intuition. We're in the middle of nowhere in Grand Canyon. She has an intuition to go look on the ranger board for whatever reason near where we were camping.
What's a ranger board?
So when you are camping, there's like the main board where they have notices, especially way back then. No one had cell phones or things like that. People are like, how did you survive without a cell phone? Right. So, but anyway, she went and looked on the board and it said, Karen Rose, call your brother. She's like, whoa, how did they, even know to put that up? I mean, you register when you go camping, but
yeah.
So that the only way to know is to put up notices. So anyway, she went, and then that's when we found out that my dad, flying from one base to another, had crashed his plane and was killed. And in that period of time, I got completely shut down from the inside. In fact, I couldn't cry. I could only throw up. and just something inside me turned off, shut down, numbed out from that moment forward.
And how old were you when that happened?
11 years old.
11. Wow.
Yeah. And I share all this, all this backstory, but because we all have our story. There's people whose stories are far more challenging, if you will, or what to try to imagine or whatever. And everyone's different, but how we process and then how we work through that in our life is why I'm bringing this forward. But I had talent, so I sang all my life. I'd been singing. In 2nd grade, I put on a show that I wrote and starred and directed it and sold pretzel rods in the back. It's like it was my dharma, my purpose. And but after that period of time where I got shut down, it became about just look on the outside. And I tucked who I was way far away in the back. I'm sure there's people who've been there, know that, been there, done that. And it's just about controlling how things came across, both me as a person and whatever I would do in performing. And I had a lot of walls and walls and walls that I was moving through in order to even try to get out whatever talent was there. But I had success. I went and studied theater in London. I did with the equivalent of off-Broadway in London. I ended up coming back and getting my equity card right away and got a Broadway show. We're touring with the Broadway show.
Awesome.
I played the female lead in the show. And I mean, the female lead. It was mostly male lead. So it was the female lead of that show. So it was more of a minor part. But I had issues while I was on the road and things like that. I don't want to even talk about that and taking too much time for everything I'm trying to get to.
We could do a whole interview series.
I know, right? I don't know how much time we're supposed to be having. I probably would have gone down this.
However long we want, really. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. But this does all lead up to some things that we're sharing. So
beautiful.
So we're looking at now, we're all ready to go back to LA to have our big 10 weeks in the Pantages Theater, and then another 10 weeks to Chicago and all the different places we're going to go tour with this Broadway show and go back and have these huge, doesn't really matter, but celebrity parties and all these things. And I'd worked through some issues, and now I'm ready to now come back without some of those issues that I'd worked on. And all of a sudden we got this out of nowhere, 4 days notice, and that's it, We had like another year ahead of us, a 4-day notice that the show was canceled, everything canceled, and we're about to be sent home.
Oh my God, it sounds like the pandemic. What?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, my poor theater friends, and everyone who's dealing with the way life completely, what your purpose and everything you've lived for suddenly, and you got to do it differently. And so there was something about that triggered me to now, not only was I shut down on the inside, and I had been really shut down from the inside, but just trying to survive on the outside. But now I shut down on the outside, and now I lost all ability to sing. I lost all confidence. I constricted. And in fact, I had to leave the entertainment industry for 2 years, be a waitress. And I was a horrible waitress, which made things even worse.
Me too, by the way. Yeah.
And my hats off to, serving the servers out there. Like, oh my gosh, mad respect, I just really want to hats off. But anyway, I took that time to cocoon and find my way back. And once I did, I started putting myself out there. And it's a longer story. Don't make too long a story already. But eventually got offered, and there was a show that everybody in town was auditioning for. And I was barely even able to sing anymore. Like I would go to audition at things and be like, hi.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Like I just shaky. It was like really bad.
Which is amazing because honestly, and maybe I'll play it later, maybe not, given that this last media moment didn't work out so well. But you sound like a better version of Celine Dion. Your voice is like extraordinary, like really beautiful. So I can't even imagine that for you. Like, wow, how anti Lynn Rose that is.
Right. Well, also, but back then I was only singing soprano-y type, I wasn't, I always wished I could belt it out like a, blues or rock, or I see people who'd sit in with bands and just figure it out in the moment. And I'm like, how do you do that? Oh my God, it'd be amazing to be able to sing like that, right? And my sister sang better than Mariah Carey and was singing with all sorts of the big boys out there. And anyway, but eventually I cocooned. I found my way out. I went internal. I worked through it. And then I was daring to show up and be horrible. Like it was painfully horrible when I would show up to auditions, like the worst that I'd ever done in my entire life. And yet here I'd been on Broadway and I couldn't even sing, right? So I'm at least showing up trembling, but daring to show up. And that's a real important piece, part of the piece. And I feel bad for the auditioners watching because I'm sure they were like, oh, just make this over because this is so painful. But anyway, I almost didn't go to this one big audition they were having. And it was going to be for a 3-girl pop group that was going to tour around all sorts of, like the highest paid anything, and it was just going to be amazing. And I almost didn't go because I was not feeling well.
Wow.
Made myself go on something perhaps about not feeling well, about feeling like I don't even stand a chance because everyone in town's going for this. Sound was able to come out. I was able to show something. And anyway, eventually I got called back. Eventually, went through a process and I got it. And my life changed from that moment. It was like, God is my witness. I'll never waitress again, but I'll be able to always do what I want to do. I wish, but and from that point forward, I was now singing pop music and getting more and more into that kind of singing that I always wanted.
Yes.
Here, I toured all around the world, opened for a lot of names, and everything from Mariah Carey, Stevie Wonder, Sheryl Crow, shared the stage with a lot of different people, did TV and film. Eventually, always thought, gosh, what it took to break through those walls, and I always hungrily ate up personal development or personal achievement, either programs or books or audios. So like next level training is the best thing that people can give themselves, because that is what's going to determine your experience and well-being of life and your results in life and results in business, right? So, but anyway, so I then eventually got a nationally syndicated radio show. There's a whole other story of how I pursued that and made that happen, just showing up, figuring my way out, being led. and then actually got mentored and got into, became a, if you will, a thought leader, an entrepreneur. I created my own programs on getting your goals back in 2003. Then a program since 2005 on how to speak from the inside out. And WOW, which is everything. You can see it says Wow Maker there.
Yes.
WOW is an acronym, and it's called Power to Wow, my speaker thing now. But WOW is an acronym for Without Walls. Without walls. What's possible when we're able to dissolve those barriers to our connection and fully show up in all of who we are and all we give. And when you're able to make that little shift, like it's not trying to do it from the outside and controlling it, but just allowing it to flow through you and be led, that's where the magic is. And so I was, able to do that. And then I ended up consulting experts from there. But I was leaving myself in the dust. I was doing all sorts of big things that happened, but I wasn't going to that next level. Working behind the scenes, though, and finally realized, I'm now helping other people's bigger dreams. And I'm doing things at a high level, but there's that next level.
For you, right?
For me.
Yep.
Speaking of next level, right. I want to keep having these distractions or these other ways that feel like I'm, on purpose and doing what I want. But
I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. Like once you start playing at a higher level, it's like, and then you're putting everybody's needs in front of you and you're like, I'm actually behind the scenes now. I'm not actually out in front leading, right?
Yes, right. Yes, exactly. So anyway, the now with what I'm working on, if you want to talk about that.
Yes, no, I was going to ask you.
And I don't know if it's, I mean, there's a lot of story I just gave there, but it really leads up to the transformational journey that it seemed impossible that I could ever be on that stage and sing without thinking about it, to have it flow through, to have power, to take an audience no matter how I'm feeling, and being able to get them on their feet and rising up and excited. Like who is that person? Who was that person? But that was me, that became me, because I was able to keep showing up, keep doing the work, keep holding the vision, keep having the faith. And it found its way. And now it's found its way with my next level project.
Yes, let's hear about the Wow Maker. Yes.
Change the world.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So Wow Maker, so it's a gamification. It's a collaborative experience. Yes, it's for bettering the world. Tell us all the things. I want to hear everything about it.
Well, I won't do so long a story like I did in all those other things. So I'm going to really laser this. Because it has been a lot of years in the making, at times like partnering at one point with the guy who sold MySpace for $750 million and some the guy who was a silent investor in Twitter. It's taken an evolutionary process, but it's finally gotten here, and we have incredible people on board. And it is a gamified platform. So it's a gamification platform that's app and web based. It's based on the science of human behavior and human values. And it's got years and years worth of research and study into it. And the technology has tested at 4.2 times more engagement than Instagram across all demographics. So if you imagine you want to better your life in these different areas, whether that's your health, your wellness, your mindset, your finances, your relationships, whatever that is, you get to customize what works for you. You get to track that impact. And then as a community, it comes together in these different tracks that we can do to better the world. We bring our collective voices together and people are rewarded for it. So if you're gonna have the dopamine hit of social media, why not have it in a purposeful way? Why not get rewarded for it along the way? And be able to then even have a vehicle that can bring people together to then be a powerful force for what that is that's important to the type of change you want to see in the world.
Wow, that is so cool. I'm like, how can we learn more about it? You say that you're launching to 100 million plus people.
From our promotional partners in 2021. We are doing, this won't be going out to 100 million people. We'll be going out to millions though. November 28th is an online event called the Wow Maker Experience. And it's going to bring an experience almost of some things that you could expect or see or be able to access on the platform. But we're doing this within a 1 day, very fast paced. we got a couple of billionaires whose stories will blow you away, like where they came over as a penniless immigrant and what they were able to build, who they are now, to experts in these various arenas: health, wellness, relationships, mindset. We got Bob Proctor, Mary Morrissey, if you know who they are, Jack Canfield, Grammy artists, the co-founder of Priceline. And it's going to be bam, 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 bam. And it's all about to take you, what is that thing, next level that you want in your life in the next 6 months, getting clarity on that. And then what do you want for the world that you can maybe bring to the table? What's one thing you'd like to see and be a part of and happen in the next 6 months? And we'll help give facility to that.
I love it. It sounds so exciting. And it's coming up. November 28th is like right around the corner.
Really coming up. And I don't have the site to send.
I know. Like, can we put the site in the comments here? Okay.
I know. Well, there is I can look it up. There is a number to text, and then it gets you at least in the wheelhouse to be notified when everything's coming up. Of course, I don't have that up right now.
That's okay. We can put it in the comments afterwards. So we'll definitely do that. And then also we'll make your date available to everybody that has been watching. And, this is an awesome thing that you're doing in the world. And so like totally Next Level wants to support you. And I think a lot of people on Next Level would be interested in it as well. Target demographic here, I imagine, right? In certain
But the thing is, this isn't about like, come do my thing. This is really about, this is a call to action to have everyone step up to what you believe is possible or what you want, and let's create that and support each other together. And here's the vehicle that can proactively support you for that. So, the Next Level leaders, oh my gosh, we want you on this platform. We want you rewarded. It's free. There isn't some charge that we're trying to do. This one-day event is free. We're bringing this forward. So anyway, we'll put in the comments. You can just text, and there are, opportunities that people might want to see if they want to get even more involved and explored.
Yeah.
But I know we're talking all about us, but I feel like we want to talk about leadership. We want to talk about leaders. We want to talk about ways, maybe some set strategies for people to break.
Well, I was going to ask you, what do you think the biggest advice that you could give, or the biggest insight that you could give on how do you break through the barriers? How do you break through the walls? Like, what do you think are the most important elements for that? Because people feel so mystified by their stuff when they haven't found the answer yet.
Yeah, let's see. I'm going to answer that literally in the moment. Okay, which to me is where the juice really is. Once we click into being able to trust it, and sometimes that takes a little bit of being willing to exercise that muscle until you finally can get to where you can trust it. Just know that. But what I was going to say is, you were saying that, and I'm feeling into what is the first step. Now, I have a process when I work with people in the speaking aspect of it, but that would be more involved for us to take it right now. But what I would say, and I'm looking at it even for myself, and I even had a extreme challenge this past weekend, as you know, from behind the scenes, Alexa. And don't we all have different challenges, especially in what we're in right now, whatever challenge you're facing right now, or where you start seeing your old programs, or you're getting hyper amplified stress, and is that helping in any way? Right? So number one, I would say, is create space. And create space, you first need to just unhook for a moment from the going around in our head, and the wheels that are going off, and the automatic behavior that's being run, and whatever walls, whatever meaning, whatever voices are going off. And I know those voices really well. I know those walls really well. I know this engine that goes like that really well. If you are willing to just take a moment to unhook, step away from the computer screen or the whatever is tying you into that moment, step outside, connect to nature. If you can't do that, take a moment and take a breath. And just like even sit back, even raise your head a little bit, and just be willing. Be willing. The thing is, our ego, or that thing that's on hyper mode, doesn't want to let go. It feels like it has to look at every little thing to sort it out. So you've got to make a deliberate choice. You're going to just sit back and say, I'll come back to you. Give me just these few seconds or minutes to just take some space and breath. Think of some things outside of this thing you're spinning on, or what's coming up with the walls, that you're grateful for, that you appreciate, even if it's something not in your own life, like a child's laughter or a moment you experienced, that you saw, you witnessed that was inspiring, whatever that might be. Excuse me. And with that space, then just allow yourself now to tune into, and I can hold down here.
Yeah.
Solar plexus, right? Now I feel into, now we all tend to have different places we're carrying where the tension starts gripping. So for some people, it might be the throat. It might be down even further in the gut or in the shoulders or
heart sometimes. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So wherever that is, really allow yourself to just be with it. Really allow yourself to listen, feel into it. And it's almost like there's this part of us that is just dying and desperate to be acknowledged and seen and not judged or try to be stuffed away or made wrong. And that's what we're doing with this thing. We're like, no, it shouldn't be this way, and how are we doing it? Or why am I acting this way? Or why does this come up for me? All these voices that are going off. They're like so much, it's weeds. But when we can just be with that feeling, this might sound esoteric, but there's something about really allowing yourself to tune in. And then as you listen, you just start and try to do so without judgment around it, allowing whatever's coming through to pass through. And then as you tune in and you listen, you feel like, yeah, I see, that's right. You're disappointed. Oh yeah, I can understand why you're feeling that way. It's almost like you are comforting or mothering yourself and what you're just being with. It almost needs a listening, because we so often don't. We just are on automatic.
Yeah.
Right? And then you can have a conversation with that. That's the beginning. And then the other thing is to realize that in a way, life is like frequencies on a radio station, right? You've got 7:30 a.m. You've got 6:90 a.m. on your radio dial. You've got 1560 on the FM. I don't know the numbers. Right. 0.3 on the FM. Right. I mean, these are all these different broadcast signals are happening at once. But which one are you tuning into? And that sounds very simplistic. But as you start allowing yourself to see that it's coexisting, this crazy cycle that's going on with this wall and these judgments is coexisting with something over here. That is that maybe that remembering that time you just felt alive and so on purpose, or you gave something to someone and made you feel so good, or someone over here is doing an act of kindness and how amazing the world is, even though in our mind we're thinking the world's falling apart. It's like they're coexisting, all these frequencies.
Yeah.
You will experience what you focus on.
Yes.
Experience what you believe, in fact. And people can have the exact same scenario, but one believes something the other way, another believes another way, and they're seeing it completely different. And so we recognize that we have that power inside for ourselves. So when we catch it, it's like, what frequency am I tuning in? I don't like that frequency. It's okay, that's going off. What might be a frequency that I do like, or I would prefer to tune in, or what can be a different way to look at this? And just in a way, almost practice that, to just feel into that. Like
it takes a lot of practice. A lot of practice.
It really does. And it's okay. And it's to realize it's not about getting it perfect. It's not about it, but being willing to at least catch, not judge it, and then make different decisions on how we're processing it or how we're looking at it. And I don't mean to sound airy-fairy, because believe me, I am not.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I feel like spirituality or tuning into your emotions and, opening up to like a bigger consciousness has gotten such a bad rap over the years. But it's like, actually, in fact, like as we step more into balance and as women take their power back and become more powerful forces in the world, like yourself, there gets to be that balance. We've been super out of balance and things are not working in that way. And so we must start utilizing these ancient wisdoms that are just so simple and in certain ways, but they're not. I mean, they take a lot of practice, right?
And you know what? It is now more than ever that we need to have that balance. We need to bring that forward. And I just share with you something that happened yesterday.
Yes.
Visuals over. blew a mind. So I'm driving just to the corner store to get a soda. I just had this impulse. I wanted to get a soda. I'm like, oh, okay. I couldn't stay home.
All right.
This urge, like I need to leave, and I need to leave now. I'm like, there's got to be something that's meant to happen. I just knew this was kind of a little. I thought, I wonder what's going to happen. What's happening that I'm having this drive, whatever, little drive. And as I'm driving down, and I'm in Marina Del Rey, so I'm driving down the main street in this side of Marina Del Rey, and the one side's just super trafficked and even a little bit backed up. And this side's just slowly moving. But I see to the side down the road, as I'm moving real slowly, these guys that are starting to get in a fight and then starting to get agitated. And then now they're like starting to do this. And then one goes to kick the guy, and then he falls back. And then all three lunge on him and start beating him to a pulp.
Whoa.
Now, so I'm in my car like, oh, heck no. Mm-mm. And this
on my watch.
Fierce, exactly how I felt. Exactly. This fierce mother lioness. Now, me pulling over and getting out of my car and breaking that up would be stupid. But what I did do is I'm in the car and I'm driving right by that moment now when they're now jumping on it. And I rolled down my window and pulled to the side, ready to gun it out of there if I had to, you know. So I'm ready, just knowing that I'm balancing this fierce lioness. And I went, stop it right now. And I was like this, and a mother lioness like that. And they were like, oh.
I'm sure.
Mother had told them they were being bad boys and to go to their room. And it like triggered like this old impulse inside them. And they stopped. It was pattern interrupt.
Wow.
They realized, like, got out of the hypnosis they'd fallen in or whatever. And then I was just driving along, and there were all these people that were filming it, weren't doing anything. Like, how come no one's doing anything?
Yeah, right.
Now I'm getting my soda literally just down the road from that as I'm coming back. There's now 6 cop cars all around and you know, all this stuff. So, but
you stopped something that just wasn't appropriate. It's like, this is not appropriate behavior. We must stand up for the things that are not just.
Yes. And so being in the feminine does not mean we're like, there can be a fierce grounding. And that's an important piece of what we bring on top of the softness and the love and that side of feminine. There's also that fierce lioness that can pierce through in other ways that it probably wouldn't as much with like a fierce masculine.
Sure.
Whether you're male or female, you know, there's just the way that energy, and it was definitely, it came from someplace else, I'm telling you. But it may not even be translating what I'm trying to say, but it really had me see the power when we are in our feminine power and having it. Sometimes it needs to be fierce even, but from that feminine place as it's fierce.
Yeah.
You can diffuse, you know?
Yeah. Super powerful. And it's interesting because I think that, you know, a lot of people can get the fierceness mixed up with anger, right? But when you're truly coming from love and you have that power and that intention and that intensity, it's like people have to listen because it's the mother. It is the mother.
Yes. And there's something about the ownership, when we're really in that ownership, as opposed to from all that heady stuff or the outside, but it is embodied, fully bodied. It's whatever it is comes through us. That's your power. It's your power.
Super cool. Oh, well, thank you so much for sharing. I mean, you are actually I've noticed personally a massive shift in these last 5 years into feminine power, right? Like into these beautiful examples of what it looks like to be powerful and to be feminine at the same time. And like you're kind of at the forefront of that. I mean, you've been up to this work for quite some time, and you know it's really cool to see what you can accomplish when you're really putting yourself out there and breaking through your walls. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I know. I do. Do we try to play this song? Because what I want to telling Alexa, as you were looking to see, it might be a setting when you go to play it, because if you don't have your headphones in or something, or you can say to just allow it to play through your computer or something. I'm not sure how
If I can pull. Okay, so give me.
You know what? I can do it. I can do it if you like. Lets me share screen.
Okay, cool.
And I know it works. Usually it works through mine, unless there's a setting we do. Okay, 1 second. Let me get. Oh, I'm trying to get it. There it is. I didn't have it up because we thought you were going to play it. Okay. Let me mute my. Can you mute me real quickly because I don't want to start playing.
Yes. You tell me when to mute, and I'm going to mute you. Then.
No, I don't need to be muted now.
So. No. Okay. Perfect. All right.
All right. So to give context, and hopefully this works. And if it's not playing on your end, Alexa, then I know it's not working, and we'll just.
Okay.
This song, and it's so funny because I wrote this. This is a more recent song. I've got songs I've written from God knows how many years ago, almost 20 years ago even. But this song, was really about that. It really brings to life the transformational journey, and we all have our transformational journey, as you know we've talked about. And you guys kind of heard some of mine. I know Alexa, Lord knows some of yours, right? And we have them in small moments and big. But for me, this really says it. And even in the process of writing it, I was in that dance of where I had so much that was wanting to come through, but it felt so locked inside. Like when I felt I had so much I wanted to express, but it was locked inside. That's part of my just commitment that I don't want anyone to ever feel that they're locked inside, that they can be unleashed. Because the more that we can unleash the full power of who we are, the more we can unleash what's possible for our planet and those around us and our dreams, our vision. So this is the song, and we'll just let the rest express it once I get it. See, screen sharing. Some screens let you share audio. Look for the share audio checkbox on the next window. I'll follow those steps to share a video with audio. Okay. And it doesn't ask about audio. Go ahead. We're hoping your entire screen. Let me see. I don't see anything where it asks about audio. So here we go. Or no, wait. And I gotta now take it. You gotta. Oh, there we go.
Do I get to do something? Let's see.
There you go. Okay. Now don't worry about it. It'll come now. So now I can start playing it. See? Is it showing?
Okay. Beautiful. Yep.
Here we go. Awesome. Okay. Yeah. Do you hear it okay?
Yep.
I lived inside a shell, locked myself away. I hid from all the life waiting there for me. I couldn't face the pain. Every day went on the same. Now I have to take a chance, trust in what could be. I wanna break wide open. Ooh, my heart is breaking open. Ooh, let go. Deep into the unknown, you never know till you try. Ready for going for gold. When you're into fun and no retreat, dare to go. Taking the chance to live on the other side of pain. The story is the same, but now we can change the past, play a different game. It frees you from the chains. When all of you's embraced, and all that will remain is who you're meant to be. Let your heart break open. Your heart is breaking open. 5, 4, 3, 2. all. Remember your face and your heart embrace. You can be the champion. Give it all. The greatest song. Give it all. Someone to risk it all. You gotta risk it all. Your face and your heart embrace. You can be the champion. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm ready to live my life. Never to the unknown. You never know till you try. Gotta try. Ready for going for gold. We're going to fall and reach where you dare to go. Taking the chance to live.
Beautiful.
There we go.
Awesome.
All right.
Hey.
Did we stop the screen?
It's so beautiful. Yeah, I also posted for everyone if anyone wants to
Yeah. Sorry.
again. Next
Hey.
Lynn Rose playlist. I'm sure we can find a Lynn Rose playlist on YouTube, right? You've probably got.
I need to. I do have a, of course, YouTube channel, but I have not properly. All that stuff is actually, believe it or not, I can't believe all these years I have not properly set my own. And part of that is stuff I was still holding myself back from being out there all the way with everything I'd already even done.
Wow.
Get out there in a way. I mean, all that's now changing because especially with what's getting launched, I need to have me out there all the way in addition to this platform, and support of the platform. So
beautiful. Well, let me post your website because I would love for people to be able to connect with you. This is one of your many websites here. How can people follow your journey? So of course, once you have your website up around the Wow Maker, we'll put that up as well.
Yeah, so lynnrose.com is me. So that's where you see, but that's actually also being redone because that was done. I mean, it's fine, the site's great, but that was really done more for my, big corporate events that I do, that purpose of it. But you can see a lot there. You can reach me through there. There's a lot of free gifts on there from the Speak formula is on there. There's all sorts of things you can see on there. The Wow Maker site is coming. I was trying to find the call loop, text thing, but you and I will post that in the chat.
Yes.
I mean, if you care, I mean, I've really been now easing myself away from the consulting with experts on helping them with their marketing, their strategy, or their speaking. I mean, I've done that with high level experts who went from nothing and now making 8 figures a year. I mean, there's I'm really good at it. I only do it with a handful of people. I've been moving away from it, but I do have some availability if someone wanted to take advantage. I do a thing where you can have a one-time one-on-one at half off. So it's still an investment because it's high level. But if you go to readyaimsuccess.com, in that 1 hour, there's so much we can get done and set up for whatever your next level is.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, great. So I put your song up there in the comments or in the chat. I put the Ready Aim Success. I put lynnrose.com. Karen Rose. It's
amazing. I don't see any comments, so I can't see.
Oh, got it. Okay, cool. So,
there's comments. Oh my gosh, Amy is on there.
Yes, Amy was from, yep. She said it sounds so exciting. And then Karen Rose, this is awesome, Lynn Rose. Yes, we want you fully stepping out. I love your song, Letting Go. That's yours. And my theme song, amazing. I'm so ready to soar. Great things happening. Love you.
That's so great. Alexa, where do people get to find out about Next Level? Because, like Amy and Karen are people who might be.
Oh my goodness.
Alexa, stop. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, my I don't know if you know this, but my middle name is Rose as well. So I feel like I'm part of the club. If I can make myself part of the club, I would love to be part of the Rose Club. So I'm posting the link for Next Level trainings on the side here. We've love to have you guys check it out. We've got centers when we can come back to actual in-person trainings. We have a center in Columbus, Ohio, and a center in Philadelphia. So
Now, are you running it online, by the way? Because you can run live events, even though there's different dynamics. Are you doing that online?
Yeah, we do a program called Shift, 2 trainings, Shift and Accelerate, and they are totally different than Discovery and Breakthrough. Super fun, super powerful. People are having a ton of shifts in their lives. Different, of course, but really awesome. And when you like sign up for a shift, you actually get an in-person. Currently, you get an in-person discovery once we start back our trainings in person.
Wow, that's so great. And I mean, I've done the West Coast version of what you are doing, and this type of work without saying its original name, because every franchise names its own and puts its own kind of coloring and stamp on it. But I have to say it is some of the most, pivotal transformational work. So I really, really recommend people check out Next Level Trainings. And the fact that you're doing it online makes it available for people to do no matter where they are. That's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much. Thank you for spending some time with us. It's been a pleasure to hear more about you and what you're up to. I'm so excited for your Wow Maker event on November 28th. Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes. I'm going to make sure we get as many people there as possible and are present for that. And thank you so much. And thank you for watching, everyone.
Thanks for watching, everybody. And just really appreciate you, Alexa. You you walk your talk. You really lead in such a way with compassion and strength. And so clearly, someone's going to learn from someone who's actually living the message they teach. So really want to thank you. And then one last thing, to be able just to say, and I always say this even to myself as I say it to the world, and that is, it's never too late to become who you might have been. It's one of my favorite quotes by George Eliot. It's never too late to become who you might have been. And another way you can say it, in the without walls kind of way, is it's never too late to unbecome who you are not.
Wow. That's powerful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, girl. Such a blast. All right. Much love, everybody. Go out there and shine. Go out there and wow.
Wow.